just meeting that woman, I felt, on the path, I was just so excited to see a little infant like that. And it's very good for you, I think.
Yep.
It gives you faith in life.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So where is everybody?
Brandon just walked in.
Okay. So I don't see the committee yet, so
yeah.
Hopefully they'll be checking in.
Yeah. So I have 3 screens going tonight.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Do you think we'll be finished with this in a month or 2?
I think they're looking at September.
Oh, I wish they were looking at July or August.
Yeah, but
it is what it is.
Yes, because they don't have any way to put up protective screening between members in council chambers.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah.
Well, hopefully that'll get straightened out, huh?
Yep. Well, somebody else joined. There's WWW.
Elena. Yeah,
yep.
I don't know who that is.
I don't know. So
that's
anyway, I think it'll be I think we'll be done by 5, which is nice.
I hope so too. I'm going to hope for that.
All right.
Okay, let's hope so.
Okay.
Well, I'll just be quiet here for a minute in case you have to do something.
Okay.
I'm glad to see you. I can tell you that.
It's good to see you too.
Good.
All right. I want to mute.
Okay. Hi, Brandon.
Hi, Catherine. How are you?
I'm well. How about you?
Good.
Good to see you.
You too. We had it was a little longer than normal site visit. We got going a little bit late, and then the members wanted to go look in the backyard, so we ended up in the backyard as well.
Well, at least you didn't stay for a barbecue or anything.
I didn't offer.
You could have.
Yeah, that's true.
Yep. You could. So how are you doing?
I'm good. Thank you. How about you?
I'm well. Thank you.
Good. Well, we'll give the other members a minute here. Obviously, everyone's catching up. I got long legs, so I think I got here first.
Okay. Well, you might have some phone calls or anything to do between now and then. I'll just wait. I just am glad to be on. I wasn't sure I was going to make it, so.
Oh, good. Well, I'm glad you did.
Yeah.
And just to be sure, you were able to make it to the site for a visit?
Yes.
Good. Super.
Hey, Brandon, did Jordan Croman join you during the tour?
He did.
Okay, because I hadn't received a yes or no from him.
Yeah, he will be here. The only member that's not going to join us today is Mr. Dyer.
Okay, thank you.
There's somebody. Catherine?
Yes.
This is Daryl Woods. I do not have a video. Is that what I'm thinking here?
Hi, Daryl. Well, we have our recording secretary, Margie, can probably.
There's Brandon.
Yeah.
We had just completed our
Margie.
site tour. Yeah.
Okay, if you just pull your mouse down to the very bottom of your screen.
Yep.
And then you'll see like mute, stop video, security. If you see this.
I have a start video.
There you go.
Yeah, go ahead and click on that.
All right, fair enough. There we are.
There you are. Okay.
There you are.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
You're welcome.
Okay.
Hi, Jordan.
That locations outside of our jurisdiction.
Hi, Catherine.
Is that Carol?
It is. Am I not showing?
I don't see you yet, but
They can provide you.
that doesn't mean you won't be, there, you're just coming up now.
Oh, good.
You can reach my offices at 8:31.
At least your name is up there.
Yeah, Carol, you want to, on the bottom left-hand corner of your screen, you want to click on the button that says Start Video.
Oh, yeah, I see it.
There you go.
Here. Hey, there she is.
Perfect job. Perfect job.
Oh, perfect.
And,
Just waiting on one more member then.
okay,
Catherine, did you already look at the property?
Yes, I did.
I gotcha.
Would anyone like a chocolate covered almond?
Sure.
If only.
The answer to the question is yes,
Yes.
but doesn't help.
Hmm. Where's Evan?
Evan's on, Marnie's on. We're just waiting on our fourth board member for today.
I see.
She may have been walking up to Carpenter. Might be a while.
Hmm.
I hope not. While we are waiting for board member Pomeroy, I think I'll just let the other members know that there is something in your rules of procedure that account for this situation, because technically right now we only have a chair in Eric Dyer and no elected vice chair yet. The rules of procedure do accommodate for this, though. It's section 1D. It says, in the absence of the chairman and vice chairman, any other member shall call the board to order, whereupon a chairman shall be elected from the members present to preside. So essentially what that means is that any of you can call this meeting to order at any time. Whoever says it first wins. And then the board members, then you just by consensus vote appoint a chair and vice chair for this meeting. So we may want to wait for Ms. Pomeroy to join us, but just to give you a heads up, I did look into that because I thought that might be an issue for this meeting with Eric on.
Catherine, are you willing to accept that mantle of responsibility?
Yes, I've done it a couple of times. Thank you, Jordan. Yeah, I'll do it. If that's okay with everybody else.
That's who I was going to suggest too.
Well,
I think that that's okay then. So Catherine, if you want to, you can call the meeting to order and just continue to wait, or we can proceed. It's up to you as the chair then.
okay, let's see. Well, it's since I was absent one meeting and took about 15 minutes, let's wait until, say, another 5 minutes. And since she is our new member, we don't want to look like we're
Absolutely.
moving without her. So
Would you like to officially call the meeting to order?
yeah,
at
let's
4:08?
call the meeting to order, and we'll wait for the roll call until Kathy gets here.
Super, thank you.
You know, we have Kathy, Catherine, and Carol. Now,
Always.
that's the KKK, Carol. I don't like that.
That's not good.
Not good, not good. So we'll have
Maybe
to-
we could approve the minutes, could we? Because she wasn't here at the last meeting, so she can't vote on them anyway.
We should wait. If we're gonna wait, we should wait.
Okay.
let's just wait a few minutes.
Yeah.
I don't know where she is. I guess she's on her way.
She may be having trouble if she's never done Zoom before. I think
Yeah.
she said she had though.
Let me see if I can get a hold of her.
Carol, you and I have had some problems with Zoom ourselves, so
We have.
we know.
Do we have any idea when the city's going to go back to in-person meetings? Has anybody heard?
Yeah, it's a good question, Jordan. So our city council at the last meeting did say that they'd like to see the public meeting start up again in September. That's the target right now. Likely will still be a hybrid model, just so that option is there for people if they want to do it remotely. But right now the target is September.
Oh, that's super. Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
You can still wear your pajamas, Jordan.
Yeah, why not? Why not?
Unless, of course, we have to go on tour. Then we ask that you dress.
Wow. There's a lot of rules being invoked here. I might vote out Catherine because she seems to be a pretty constrictive, she's taking a lot of points here that seem to really be cutting down on our freedoms.
Carol, were you able to attend the Carmel Heritage reception last weekend? How
Did you see
it
my
go?
picture?
Oh, how
I was
nice.
on the wall.
Oh, great.
We had a fun, we're still doing it actually, but inside now. The neighbors would all get together and sit out in, we called it Wine and Wine, WHINE and wine. And we all bring our own wine out and sit in chairs on the street and talk, yell really across to one another.
Yeah,
For
social
about an hour.
distancing. Yeah, good.
Wednesdays. So one of us took pictures, and so I sent in the pictures because there was a request for pictures.
Right.
What are people doing during COVID? And that's what we were doing every week.
Oh, great. Good.
Yeah.
So
It's very
that's good.
nice.
Well, I'm glad to see that their Carmel Heritage is, getting ready to welcome people again. And also, I guess the house tour is set for the fall.
September 25th. I'm on it. So yes,
Good.
I'm on the tour. So yes, it's the 25th.
Oh, that's wonderful. Your
that's
house
great.
is going to be on. Great.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, well, we'll be coming in there for some almonds or whatever you've got there.
That's right. I better
Whatever
save
you're-
them then. I'll put
Yeah.
the lid back on.
It'll be like trick or treat, but for the tour homes.
Yeah, that's nice. That's good.
Yeah.
So that'll be the first time that your house is on it?
No, well, first time for there,
Since-
but
since renovation.
I was on the virtual tour for the Bach Festival.
Okay.
And that's a little different, of course, because they come and videotape 4 hours for 10 minutes of showing, that kind of thing.
But it wasn't done before you renovated it?
No,
Hmm.
no, it was a real fixer upper, much more than even I could have imagined. So,
That's good. Well, it'll be fun to see. It'll be fun
Yeah.
to see it.
yeah.
Well, it's Brandon. Were you able to catch Kathy?
Yeah, thank you. I actually just got off the cell phone with her. She was having trouble connecting, so I resent her the link. So
Okay.
she's in the process right now. So I think if we give her another minute, she'll be joining us.
Okay, great. That's great.
We should call it Zoom Doom, Kathy. Catherine.
Exactly.
I guess, anybody heard from Tom? Is his move complete and everything?
I saw him at the opening. Did you go to it too, Catherine?
No, I wasn't able to this year.
Well, Tom was there, and so I said hello, and yeah, he seems to be doing well. Seems
That's
to be
good.
thriving. Yeah.
Great.
Good. That's good.
He misses us terribly. I had to wipe some tears away from his face, but
Well,
I knew he was
I
an
guess
intelligent
we
man.
had to choose between us and a new house. I don't think that was too hard for him.
That's right.
Say, Jordan, what is that handsome ornament hanging from your kitchen?
Oh, this
Yes.
is an anchor. So we have that's kind of our family symbol.
Oh.
Having moved so many times, we say that
Uh-huh.
the family's our anchor. And so we,
Excellent.
that's our symbol. And that's when the house got finished and everything, that's what we named the house, the anchor. And so we don't have a lot of anchor stuff, but we do have a couple things here and there.
That's great. That's very good. I've noticed it before, so I thought I'd ask you. Good.
Yeah.
And you're staying here for
Later.
good.
I'm
Good.
hoping forever.
Good.
Okay, bye-bye.
Great. Looks like,
There
Madam
she
Chair, looks
is.
like Board Member Pomeroy is here. So you now have all the members you're going to have for today's meeting.
Good. Well, Kathy, welcome. I don't know. I don't see her, but I'm glad she's here.
She's there. She does have her video turned on.
Okay, does Margie need to help her at all, or?
No, she has it turned on. We can see her.
I
I'm
can't see
here.
her.
I'm here.
Oh, there she is. Okay, good, good. Nice to see you, Kathy.
Thank you.
And we did call the meeting to order, but now that you're here, we're going to have the roll call. So Margie, would you do the honors?
Yes, I will. Board Member Croman,
Present?
Board Member Dyer, Board Member Hall,
Present?
Board Member Pomeroy,
I'm here.
Board Member Galtieri.
Here.
Thank you.
All right. So who is going to do the honors to officially welcome Kathy to our group? We're happy to have a new member. Sorry to have lost Thomas Hood, but we're happy that you're taking the new member's place, Kathy. And
Thank you. Me
Brandon,
too.
would you like to say something about Kathy? Or
Yeah, just briefly, we'd like to give our warmest welcome to our newest member, Kathy Pomeroy. Very excited to have her on the team. She has a lot of great experience. And I think that sometimes the best way to give somebody an introduction is to let them tell us a little bit about themselves. So Madam Chair, if you're okay with it, I would suggest that we let Board Member Pomeroy tell us a little bit about her experience here.
Very good. And I know it's been, you've been here for many years, Kathy. So just give us a short, brief update and we'll be happy to hear it.
Well, I moved to this area in the early 80s and I moved to Carmel in 89 and I bought like the cheapest place in Carmel in 89 for $185,000. And it had a little converted garage cottage on it. And the next year I built a house. So I've been here all this time. And I've got a law degree that I don't use. And I'm a real estate appraiser and a realtor. And gosh, I have a little dog. Those are the important things.
Those are the important things in life, that's for sure. And that's it sounds like you're going to fit right in, Kathy. So we're happy to have you. And I hope we'll all meet in person one of these days.
Thank you.
Okay, so now we're at the point of the agenda where we have public appearances. And so we always welcome members of the public to speak on matters that are not on our agenda today. And is there anyone in the audience who is here who would like to speak to us about something not on the agenda? Hearing no one, I don't see anyone, so I'm just going to go ahead now and we'll go to the consent agenda. We have one item today, and that would be the minutes of the May 17th meeting. I think you've all received those in your packet. Margie, as usual, has done a good job. And so I'd like to hear if anyone has a motion to make or any changes or corrections.
I have a question. Under future agenda, it says June 17th meeting, and I didn't know what that meant.
Just an announcement, I assume. I don't know if Kathy, if Margie wants to speak to that or Brandon, but usually I think they just put the agenda that we're meeting the next time. Margie, is that right?
Yeah, that's correct. I probably put the wrong date on there. So
Yeah, that's the question.
Okay.
We can correct that. Thank you for that note.
Yeah.
You're welcome.
So with
Good,
that correction,
okay.
I recommend that we approve the minutes from last month's meeting as written.
I second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Hi.
And
And Madam Chair, if I could interject, I think Board Member Pomeroy, you should just abstain from this one since you weren't here for the last meeting. No need to
Okay.
vote on this one.
okay, so we have.
You get to vote on the next item though. Don't worry, I promise.
Okay.
We have the three ayes and one abstention. So with that, the minutes pass. We have one public hearing this afternoon, and this is DS 21-285, consideration of a finding of noncompliance with the Secretary's standards for a design study application, a 698 square foot addition to an existing 995 square foot single family residence with the proposed addition, and I think this would be the correction of a 234 square foot roof deck in the single family zoning district located at San Antonio, 3 southeast of 4th Avenue. So with that, I'm sure we'll have a good report from Evan Court. Evan, are you with us?
Yes, I am. Thank you. And welcome, Board Member Pomeroy. So the existing house is known as the Dorothy Green Chapman House, and it is listed on the Carmel Inventory of Historic Resources. The home was constructed in 1949 and is significant under criteria 2 and 3. The home is significant under criteria 2 because the building is associated with the life of a person, Dorothy Chapman, who is listed in the historic context statement, important to the civic betterment of the community. This is evidenced by a lifetime of volunteering time and talent to the city and her deep commitment to preserving Carmel's cultural values. The house is also significant under criterion 3 architecture. The context statement includes Wrightian organic style in Carmel's architectural chronology and points out that the most recognizable characteristics of the style of architecture found in Carmel were dramatic roof forms sheltering buildings constructed of natural materials. Rowan Maiden, the architect of the Dorothy Green Chapman House, is specifically mentioned in association with the style of architecture, and design elements in the Chapman House certainly exemplify this style. The character-defining features of the residence include redwood siding, exposed roof structure, overhanging eaves, low-pitched roof, large expanses of glass, clear story fenestration, concrete slab flooring, and built-in furnishings, as well as the spatial relationship between the house and the garden. The applicant is proposing a 674 square foot addition to the rear of the residence, a 24 square foot garage addition, and site coverage modifications throughout, as well as a 234 square foot roof deck addition that's accessed via a spiral staircase within the courtyard. The Secretary of Interior standards for the treatment of historic properties provides the framework for evaluating the impacts of additions and alterations to historic buildings. Margaret Clovis, one of the city's historic consultants, evaluated the project for consistency with the Secretary of Interior standards for rehabilitation. Ms. Clovis found that standards 1, 2, 5, 9, and 10 are applicable to the project, and the evaluation concluded that the project as proposed is inconsistent with standards 2, 5, and 9, and states the proposed location will have a significant impact to the Chapman House due to the proposed location of the rooftop deck. According to the Phase 2 evaluation, the spatial relationship between the indoor and outdoor areas of the Chapman House are particularly important to Usonian design principles and are integral to understanding Rowan Maiden's approach to the design of the house. The proposed rear addition will reduce the size of the original Japanese garden, and therefore it's important to design the remaining garden space so the relationships and transitions between the house and garden are preserved. As such, it is recommended that a landscape plan be reviewed and approved by the HRB prior to any type of approval in order to be consistent with standard number 1. Additionally, staff is recommending that the property owner's request for the home to be listed on the Carmel Register of Historic Resources that is separate from the Carmel inventory. Properties listed on the register are receive certain benefits that other properties do not. The site is currently non-conforming in regards to site coverage, and with the proposed modifications, it still would not comply. And adding the property to the register would allow for the inclusion of design nonconformities that are important to maintaining the historicity of the property. So in regard to standard 2, that was evaluated against the Secretary of Interior standards for rehabilitation guidelines and also preservation brief number 14. The guidelines state new rooftop decks should be inconspicuous and minimally visible from the site and from the public right-of-way, and decks should not damage or obscure the character-defining features of the building. Preservation brief number 14 states that new additions should always be subordinate to the historic building. It should not compete in size, scale, or design with the historic building. And in addition, that bears no relationship to the proportions and massing of the historic buildings, In other words, one that overpowers the historic form and changes the scale will usually compromise the historic character. The evaluation concluded that the proposed roof deck addition did not meet standard number 2. For standard number 9, the proposed rear addition is proposed to be differentiated from the existing residence. The proposed siding is 1x6 redwood siding, whereas the existing is 1x12. Therefore, the rear addition does meet standard number 9. The roof deck addition does detract from the original building's massing in terms of its massing size, scale, and architectural features. Effectively, it's too visible when seen from the right of way and therefore does not meet standard number 9. The garage addition is visible from the street. This addition was not addressed in the phase 2 evaluation. However, staff is concerned that it does alter the historic building form and envelope, and because of its visibility, in staff's opinion, it does not meet standard 9. So staff is requesting some feedback from the HRB in regard to the garage addition. And with standard 10, the roof deck is an independent structure from the historic building, and therefore it could potentially be removed in the future without damaging the historic resource. Therefore, as proposed, the project does meet standard number 10. So staff's recommendation is to adopt a resolution issuing a finding of non-compliance with the Secretary of Interior standards. Staff has additional recommendations that the board provide feedback and direction regarding the garage addition, the proposed landscape plan, and also feedback on the location of the proposed roof deck. And that concludes my presentation. I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Evan, did you cover standard number 5?
You know what? I realized that as I was going through my my slideshow, it seems that somehow didn't make it in, and I apologize for that.
Well, you could just give it to us verbally.
Sure. So standard number 5 speaks to the location of the roof deck on the structure. Effectively, what the recommendation in the phase 2 evaluation was that because it's located over the existing historic residence, it does not comply with standard 5. One solution would be to relocate the roof deck to the area of the addition, and therefore no historic materials would be damaged or interfered with, and thus comply with standard number 5. So by relocating it to the rear over the new construction, it would not alter the existing historic building form.
Thank you. Does anyone have a question for Evan? Anyone on the board? Hearing none, then I'd like to welcome the project applicant, Mr. Wood. Do we have Mr. Darrell Wood?
I'm here. Yep.
Oh, good. There you are. Well, welcome to you. And you've heard the staff report. I'm sure you've read all the material that has come forward, and we'd like to hear from you and get your feedback today.
Happy to do so. Thanks, Catherine. First, I'd like to thank all of you for meeting today at the site and look forward to continuing this conversation. Allow me to introduce myself. I've been a practicing architect now for 35 years, 25 of which have been on the Central Coast. And it goes without saying that not only do I have a deep respect for Wrightian architecture, as referenced in Margaret Closes's addendum, but more specifically, architects that have practiced and influenced work in the Bay Area, such as Joseph Eschrick, Mark Mills, Jack Hilmer, William Worster, and last but not least, Rowan Maiden. Given my appreciation for the home's architect and the uniqueness of this home, I feel privileged to be involved in this particular project. I'll never forget the day I walked through the entry gate and discovered this gem. I've approached this project as a challenge of implementing my client's brief while at the same time respecting the built work. And as, if I might suggest, as if Rowan Maiden had taken on the same challenge himself. I was prepared to discuss each of the Secretary's interior standards, but see they've been addressed with the staff's report. The only remaining standards that are in need of resolution are 2, 5, and 9, with the understanding that number 1 will be resolved with a review process of a landscape plan. So in the interest of time, let me go through each of the 3 in order. But before I do, let me read a couple quotes taken directly from the U.S. Secretary of Interior's introduction to the standards. Rehabilitation is defined as a process of returning a property to a state of utility through repair or alteration, which makes possible an efficient contemporary use while preserving those portions and features of the property which are significant to historic, architectural, and cultural values. The second quote, and I'm hoping I'm not boring you, but the second quote reads, "They have also been adopted by historic district and planning commissions across the country. The intent of the standards is to assist the long-term preservation of a property's significance through the preservation of historic materials and features. The standards pertain to historic buildings of all materials, construction types, sizes, and occupancy, and encompass the exterior and interior of the buildings. They also encompass related landscape features and the building site and environment, as well as attached, adjacent, or new construction." One last comment, and this comes from alterations and additions within the standards. I'll just read a couple quotes, bear with me. "Alterations may include providing additional parking space on an existing historic building site, cutting new entrances or windows on a secondary elevations, inserting an additional floor, installing an entirely new mechanical system, or creating atrium or light well. If, after a thorough evaluation of an interior solution, an exterior addition is still judged to be the only viable alternative, it should be designed and constructed to be clearly differentiated from the historic building, and so that the character defining features are not radically changed, obscured, damaged, or destroyed." So with that being said, I'll start with standard number 2, which reads, "The historic character of a property shall be retained and preserved. The removal of historic materials or alteration of features and spaces that characterize a property shall be afforded." Now, per Margaret Clovis's Phase 2 addendum, and as Evan has pointed out, the character defining features of the Chapman House are as follows: redwood siding, exposed roof structure, as you can witness behind me, overhanging eaves, low pitched roof, large expanses of glass, clear story fenestration, concrete floor slabs, built-in furnishings, none of which are compromised with the addition of the proposed roof deck, which is consistent with the design, size, and scale of the existing structure. As designed and in its final form, it will not detract from the original Maiden design home as rendered on sheet A6 within your packet. I'm sure you've all have studied those renderings. In fact, I think it completes the house and gives purpose to the existing flat roof. It's nothing like the misrepresentation of the netting that currently is in place. I've taken great care in thinking about this as simply a floating plane above the existing flat roof. Note that the edge of the deck fronting San Antonio coincides with the existing upper roof edge, thereby resulting in complementing the horizontality of Maiden's design. The guard railing, as required by code, is also considered as a secondary element to the overall composition. The material color will operate on 2 levels. First, its compatibility with the existing house and as a recessive element against the existing landscape. In fact, it will be similar to a railing Rowan Maiden himself used at the Nepenthe restaurant in Big Sur. Its characteristics will be non-glare and with a weathered patina. Lastly, the deck as proposed is a use that's consistent with existing spatial relationships, allowing access to sunlight and fresh air. In fact, the deck is an extension of the existing spatial relationships as established by Rowan Maiden. Also, any materials that will need to be restored, preserved, or removed during construction will be replaced with like in kind. So as the architect, I would argue we are consistent with the Secretary Standard number 2. And in summary, the character will be preserved and the removal of any features, spaces will be avoided. Distinctive features, finishes, and construction techniques or examples of craftsmanship that characterize a property shall be preserved. As stated above under standard number 2, the bottom of the deck, the roof deck structure is separated from the existing roof by plus or minus 8 inches, thereby preserving the construction technique of the original flat roof. We are not destroying the distinctive materials, features, finishes, and construction technique of the original historic roof. In fact, we will be restoring the original historic roof, compliant with relative standards. The deck itself is supported by strategically placed slender pipe columns in order to minimize this issue, while at the same time allowing the deck to be removed at a future date, if necessary, and as acknowledged in Margaret's addendum under standard number 10. An option is suggested to relocate the proposed deck above the new addition to avoid any conflicts with existing elements. But as I pointed it out, the deck in its proposed location accomplishes the same. I don't think that it's a stretch to understand the reason for its proposed location. The sight lines are quite different from the rear of the property as opposed to the middle. And secondly, privacy would be compromised with the adjacent properties. Lastly, and most importantly, a deck above the new addition does not allow or afford the same amenities as neighboring properties. Access to the outdoors with a view of the Carmel Bay. And let me point out, given the past year and a half, we as planners and architects are now engaged in projects that address the age of pandemics. As you all know, the existing house, although allowing access to the outdoors via its internal courtyard, requires that one access the public beach in order to have an ocean view. The deck's location as proposed provides a view of the bay without having to walk across the street and be subject to the risk of unknown viruses. By its nature, the deck would provide a means for social distancing. As we all know, design in the interest of health has been with us for centuries, but has now raised its head once again, and as a renewed interest amongst planner and architects. We are now obligated to consider the built environment. Needless to say, all other components of the project will and do address standard number 5. Therefore, the project as proposed is consistent with standard number 5. And finally, regarding number 9, and again, I'll read the standard. New additions, exterior alterations, or related new construction shall not destroy historic materials that characterize the property. The new work shall be differentiated from the old and shall be compatible with the massing, size, scale, and architectural features to protect the historic integrity of the property and its environment. Regarding the standard, I think I've discussed at length why the project is consistent with this. But also let me point out the new deck as proposed is inherently differentiated from the existing by its steel structural system. However, at the same time, I think it's also important to be in relation to the existing architecture, which is why I'm proposing that its coloration work with the existing palette. Also, let me say, and as you well know, a roof deck or terrace would not be setting any new precedent for a late 1940s modern California home. They exist throughout the state in many other seminal projects by Maiden's contemporaries such as Richard Neutra and Rudolf Schindler. In conclusion, I would hope that you as a board, following through with your duties and responsibilities, find the project as proposed consistent with the Secretary's standards, number 2, 5, and 9, as discussed above. I think anything short would be a real shame. Thank you for your time, your service, and your understanding. That concludes my presentation.
Thank you, Mr. Wood. Would any of the board members care to ask a question of the applicant? I don't see Jordan. I guess Jordan's.
Yeah, I'm here.
Oh, there you are. Okay.
Here on video. I just, you know, I think probably we don't have a discussion after that. You know, we don't have questions of the architect at this point after that presentation, but I think we do have a lot of internal discussion to have.
Okay, good. So do you have any questions, Kathy or Carol?
I have, I do want a little more detail on the decking railing and how that will look.
No problem. Well, as I mentioned, the railing that was actually used down at Nepenthe in Big Sur consists of, however, that particular application shows it in its vertical composition. This would be horizontal, you know, kind of work with the horizon line. But it would be composed, Carol, of essentially rusted or Corten steel elements that would weather naturally. The spacing of the horizontal bars, which would be about 1/2 inch in diameter, would be at 4 inches on center, which is a code requirement. And thank you, Evan, for pulling that up. I think if we could zoom in on that image, you get a good sense of what I'm proposing. As you can see, it's really a backdrop to the landscaping beyond at the rear property. It's certainly not in competition with the existing scale or massing of the present home.
So your basic, here we go.
Perfect.
Okay. Thank you.
Does that help, Carol?
Yeah. Yes, it does. Thank you.
Now those verticals, again, I would want to minimize those as best I can per structural requirements. Again, every effort would be made to make this as transparent a railing system as possible.
Okay. Okay, thank you.
You bet. Thanks for the question. Appreciate it.
Could I ask a question of you, Daryl? Your presentation was good. I don't hear any comment about something that the board is very concerned about, whether it be this property or any other property that we're looking at for additions to the inventory, and also checking on what is being proposed as a remodel. One of the things that is a hallmark of historic preservation is the public's ability to view the property from the right-of-way. And that is very significant to us. Yes, your client's needs are very understandable, but when they bought this property, it did not have a rooftop deck. Rowan Maiden didn't put a rooftop deck on it when he built it in 1949. And therefore, this property, which is probably, I think, the only Rowan Maiden house in the city limits, I'd have to check with Evan on that. But the idea of a public viewing of a historic resource as it looked at the time of construction from the public right-of-way is why we usually recommend to applicants to whatever they do on the remodel plan, it's best if it's put in the rear. And this being on top of the roof and also having the ability to affect the original materials and finishes, that's what the historic consultant pointed out to us. So I'm just asking you, how do you view the right of the public who may walk by this property many times a day to see what Rowan Martin produced?
Yeah. Well, first, let me just say, Catherine, that the only supports for the entire deck are 4 3.5-inch pipe columns. So we're really not impacting the existing structure per se. We're not changing materials. We're not impacting the roofing material, as I stated in my presentation. Regarding, this house was built 70 years ago. Things do change, ownership changes, demands change, personalities are different between homeowners. For all we know, Dorothy Chapman requested specifically not to have any public influence or exposure to San Antonio. That's not the case with my current clients. Like I've said in my presentation, we only want to be afforded the same amenities that neighboring properties have. Now, can be removed at a future date with very little effort.
Okay, thank you so much.
Okay.
Any other questions of the applicant?
Can I say one other thing, if you don't?
Yes, go ahead.
And Evan can chime in on this one. That's regarding the garage addition. This garage was not part of the original structure or building. Rowan Maiden constructed this structure with a carport only, no enclosure, no enclosed walls. So the addition to the garage is really not a historical issue. It's more of a zoning compliance, which we, I'm just saying, this has not, it's a non-historical.
Well, it's also in the public right of way, and it was done at a time when this property was not listed on the historic inventory. So that makes a difference. So any other questions of the applicant? All right, the public hearing is still open. Is there any member of the public who would like to speak on this application?
Madam Chair, it doesn't look like we have anyone raising their hand from the public. We don't have many public members on here, but just in case someone is trying to figure out how to raise their hand, at the bottom of your screen, if you click on reactions, it'll open up a tab and you can click raise hand. If you're just on your phone, which it doesn't look like anyone is, but just in case, you can hit *9 and raise your hand. Either way, you would want to unmute yourself by clicking the mute button in the bottom left-hand corner, or on your phone by hitting *6. But as I said, Madam Chair, it doesn't look as if anyone is wanting to speak at this point from our perspective.
Okay, thank you. Evan, could we go back to the original the original configuration here and not the pictures? Okay, thank you. All right, so if without seeing anyone, I don't see any raised hands. I don't see any other individuals. So I'm going to close the public hearing and bring it back to the board. And who would like to start with a comment? Jordan?
I would like to, if you don't mind.
Okay.
So I think much more than a lot of projects that we've seen, this is really, there are 3 very separate elements to this proposal. And of course, one is the addition to the garage, one is the addition to the house, and one is to the roof deck, all associated, but pretty separate from one another. So I think we should, keeping mindful of the whole holistic project, maybe it's easier if we take each one of those elements by itself, and then we have a further kind of a next over the hill mission to then look at the landscaping portion of it too, which is tied into the house. And so, I mean, I think we can decide which order we want to take those, but maybe the easiest one to start with is the addition to the garage, since that's a small addition. It does alter the appearance from the public view, but I think that's something we can talk about. And then my question in addition to, as we're talking through that, is it looks like from the pictures and a little bit from the street that some of that addition is hidden by like the, bonsai topiaries that are out there, or in some of the pictures almost looks like new plantings or something like that. So maybe my recommendation is maybe we look at the garage first and then go from there. What do you think?
Well, I think if you do this that way, you are overlooking the evaluation done by the historic consultant, which goes through the standards and also gives you an overall picture. Are you comfortable with her take on this project, or are you trying to?
Very comfortable. And I'm not suggesting that we don't look at this holistically. I think that there are three, I think the three projects, though, although completely related, and have to be looked at as part of the holistic project, maybe are different from, this elephant might be easier to eat one bite at a time in these 3 bites and then come back to look at the entire elephant than it would be to just, because I think we could potentially be a little bit all over the map. I mean, I think we all have significant issues with the roof and how that looks and how that's proposed. I appreciate, Daryl, your comments, but like some of them are just inconsistent. For example, I don't think you're going to lose or gain any more privacy by having the deck on one part of the roof than you are on the other part. Especially when, as you mentioned, from the neighbor's point of view. But I mean, we can address those things. But Madam Chairman, I'm happy to follow your lead on this. But I think just to keep us vectored here, maybe one element at a time, and then go back to the big project as a whole.
Well, one concern I would have with the garage addition is that the Meg Clovis didn't even discuss it. So we would be without any kind of recommendation from her. It is on the public right of way. And whether it's 24 square feet or something smaller, it is a significant change. It's not on the rear. So that concerns me that we haven't had any feedback from her on that. And we don't have a landscape plan. Those two things seem to me to be major issues that were kind of operating somewhat in the semi-darkness, but I understand what you're saying. Why don't we tackle the rooftop deck first, since it's the biggest issue of all? And would you like to start and give us your opinion, Jordan, on the appropriateness of a rooftop deck where the applicant has placed it?
Yeah, and I think we've talked about some of that already. I mean, I appreciate the fact that Daryl has come back to a number of times where that can be removed in the future, but why would we build something that we're already talking about removing in the future? And I think that deck, where I appreciate the owner's desire to take advantage of that amazing view, and I would, quite honestly, want to be up on that deck with them having a barbecue. I think that element alone radically changes the entire view of the house, the entire feel of the house. It massively changes how the public perceives that property and that structure. And it's just not consistent to me in any way, shape, or form with the intent and spirit of that architectural outlook. And so that would be my, in a broad perspective, that would be my thoughts on that roof deck.
Thank you very much. All right, Carol, what would you like to add?
Well, I concur that it does change the whole look of it. I do understand why they would want that. I think that they would probably use it much less than they think they're going to, with a spiral staircase up to there. And I think it's unfortunate that it is, and I understand why, but that it's on top of an even taller space than the rest of the roof, which makes it even more looming up there. And I don't think there's any other place that it could go to be lower. I agree that it's a significant addition to an existing historic home that certainly changes the whole nature of the historicity of that home. So.
Okay, thank you. Kathy, would you have something you'd like to add?
I think the deck, if it were going to be approved, would be better toward the rear of the house. The way it is there, it's kind of almost hanging out over the street, and there wouldn't be any privacy up there. But I understand why they would want it too. But I think it would be less noticeable if it were on the addition.
And that apparently is not where the view is, I'm assuming, which then kind of.
Well, I kind of climbed up there. I didn't stand on the roof like some of the people did, but maybe I should have, but it didn't seem like moving it back 20 feet would change the view that much, but I don't know. Didn't seem like it though.
Okay, good. Thank you. So, Jordan, what do you recommend next?
Well, I mean, if we want to table the, it's a great point since since the garage addition was not part of the analysis, maybe we table that for a later date. I don't, although I see that as a significant departure, I guess maybe it doesn't seem as egregious since there is some intent to tie it into the current architectural state using different materials. But I mean, I think it's a good point that you make, Catherine, that we haven't had that, we don't have a report on that. And maybe that's just better to stand by and ask for a report on that specific item as an addition.
Okay, thank you. Carol?
We're talking about the 24 square feet in the front?
Yes.
I just, I reacted immediately to that, thinking that it really changed the character defining features of the home. I didn't realize that it had been a carport. I did realize that, but it's probably been 50 years since that changed. I don't know. But I just feel like on the front there, 24 square feet seems like a very small addition to be making that much of an upheaval or that much of a change to the front look of the house. And that was the thing I first thought was not worth doing because of the change right on the street.
Okay, thank you. Kathy, do you have an opinion on the addition, the 24?
Madam Chair, if I could just interject briefly, I got a message from Evan on the side. He'd like to add a little bit. He did speak with Meg Clovis about that garage addition today. So perhaps if he could provide that additional information to you all for this part of the conversation.
Yeah, so I was able to connect with Miss Clovis this morning. I asked, what was it intentional that the addition was left out? It was not intentional. It was just oversight. I asked her initial thoughts on it. Again, this is just over the phone, and she agreed with my evaluation in the staff report that it would not be appropriate for that location, that the addition should be somewhere that it's not visible from the right of way.
Good. Okay, thank you. Thank you, Evan, for doing that, telling us that. And Kathy, do you have an opinion you'd like to share about the 24 square foot addition on the front? I don't see Kathy's. Can you hear us, Kathy?
I did see her just turn her video off. I don't know if she had to step away from her camera for a second. There we go.
Oh, I had to take a phone call. What was the question? I'm sorry.
We're discussing the 24 square foot addition on the front of the house that is being proposed.
Yeah, I don't really have an opinion on that at this point.
All right. Well, you don't have to have an opinion on everything.
The other thing seems so much bigger.
Yes. Okay. Very good. Thank you. Now, the landscape plan, we know we don't have. And maybe since is Evan still available, Brandon?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay, Evan, what is the background as to why we don't see a landscape plan yet?
One was requested following the initial phase 1 application. The applicant just did not provide a detailed landscape plan.
Okay. I'm going to open up I'm going to open this up again and ask the applicant what's the situation with the landscape plan? Daryl.
Daryl, you are muted if you want to go ahead and unmute yourself.
Very good. Am I there?
Yes.
All right. Well, per my site plan, I forget the sheet number, but maybe A100, you can see that the majority is shown on my site plan. The landscape plan would basically entail a planting plan. And I felt that was premature prior to getting a little bit more traction on what's being proposed.
Okay. That's good. Okay, that's an
If you
explanation.
look at my site plan, it basically illustrates all the planter areas, the hardscape, etc.
Well, we do have a consultant who is looking for something to review for consistency with the guidelines that she uses for the treatment of cultural landscapes. And so this is a requirement that you're going to have to look into, I think, because that's not just a straight landscape planting plan. It's actually something to look at and review it with the guidelines. So
Okay,
that
understand my
has to happen.
be happy to provide it, as long as
good.
you understand that we're moving forward or in that direction.
Good. Okay, good. Thank you.
You bet.
Well, I just wanted to, I'll take a moment here to give you my opinion. And it's something that I think relates to our board and something I hope that we can work on in the next few months, Brandon. And that is a little more training and exposure to some of these well-known architects in the Monterey Peninsula area that maybe some of us are not as familiar with as others are. And about many years ago, when I was serving on the Historic Preservation Committee, which was the predecessor of this review board, 4 of us, 4 of the 5, signed up for a course at MPC that was taught by architectural historian Kent Seavey and his partner, Rick Janik, who is an architect who also teaches in the art department at MPC. And that course for the 4 of us laid the groundwork for my better understanding of local architecture on the Monterey Peninsula, including houses in Carmel. And one of the architects that both Seavey and Janik discussed with us over the weekend course was Rowan Martin. And we're looking at his work today. And he and Mark Mills, as we have read in the information given to us, were both apprentices of Frank Lloyd Wright and who studied at Taliesin West in Arizona. So I think that Martin's design for this house and garden is unique and worthy of our recognition. And I'm looking at Meg Clovis's evaluation very carefully because we want to make sure that as far as the public is concerned, and this is, how would I say, if the applicant chooses to list the property on the Carmel Register of Historic Resources, there are gifts given in that regard that other properties in Carmel don't qualify for. So it's very important that we get back as representing the public what we give in the way of extra things. And the observations I have about this particular project is obviously we need a landscape plan that will satisfy the needs of the consultant, Meg Clovis. There's also was a question in my mind of the larger site coverage with all the improvements. And the roof deck, in my opinion, is not appropriate at all on this property. And also, I think we need to look at the 24 square feet. Just to have a conversation is good with Meg Clovis, but I think something should be written down so that we have her input on that as well. So we've given our thoughts on the roof deck. I want to see if someone has a motion that they would like to make. If there's anything that you further want to ask the applicant or bring up, now's the time for the board to do that. Anything, Carol?
Well, aren't we going to also be discussing the major addition on the back before
Yes,
we?
yes,
Yeah.
we can do that. Why don't you start that?
Okay. And then I suppose take each one of those as Jordan suggested and approving or disapproving each one. I don't know. But the major addition on the back, I'm concerned. I'm certainly appreciating why they want it. And I think that it is fine in that it is in the back and it is not seen from the front. My concern is that it wipes out basically most of the backyard. There's very little landscaping left to do, I think, once that is built. But I have no difficulty with it in that it is in the back and it is not seen from the front of the house and does not change the impact of the historic structure from the street.
Thank you. Very good. Jordan, do you have an opinion on the addition itself?
Yeah, I kind of do echo some of Carol's thoughts. It's hard. I think it's hard for us to view that since the garden portion and the addition portion are supposed to nest pretty seamlessly, to see one without the other. I think I agree that it does take up a lot of landscape, although I do totally understand why they want that. But I think that it will be easier to see how that flows with the rest of the courtyard once we have the landscape portion in. And I think they are doing the right thing by differentiating materials and things like that. I mean, it will be a clear differentiation. So yeah, I would just like to see that more holistic, how those two things mesh with one another.
Okay, good. That's a good comment. Kathy, do you have anything you'd like to add about the rear addition?
Yeah, I'm okay with it. You can't see it from the street, and the design of it does mesh with the house, and the house is tiny, really. It makes it a lot more functional.
Okay, good. Thank you. All right, so here's what we have in front of us. We have a resolution that the staff prepared finding non-compliance with the standards for the addition and the rooftop deck. I don't know if you want to go through that or if you want to request a continuance for the applicant and the owner to discuss what we've said and come back again. What would be the pleasure of the board?
Catherine, can I ask if we find, I mean, I think this is as we stated kind of from the front, this is an intermeshed issue with these three different elements. So if we find one item that we find non-compliant, and I think in this case, maybe there's more than one item that we find non-compliant, should we parcel those out, or should we simply say that we want to wait for the garage addition? We, are happy to review another proposal with a deck in a different location or something like that? Or how do you want to attack this?
So, Madam Chair, could I weigh in on that actually?
Yes.
Thank you. So it's a wonderful question. So the HRB needs to take action on the whole of the action. So the item that was brought before you is the entire project. So your motion, however, can parcel out certain things within that motion. So your motion would be to find that these portions of the project are not consistent. This portion is, however, because at least one is, the entire project as proposed, the project that has been brought to you today is inconsistent. You could make that, and that would be your official decision, and that would be then appealable to the city council. Or if you wanted to, as the chair recommended, you could also continue the item with direction to the applicant to make the changes that you pointed out. The applicant can choose to change them or not change them when they come back. If any of the portions that they did not change did not meet your approval at that point of the next meeting, then you would deem it inconsistent based on that portion of the project, and that could be appealed to the city council. So I would just suggest that the board keep the whole thing together one way or the other,
rather than splitting it up.
Correct.
Right.
Yeah, we need to take action on the whole of the action.
Okay. Thank you very much. That's very clear. Carol, do you have any thoughts on that score? Do you want to make any kind of a motion now?
I think that certainly one thing we need for the next time is a landscape plan with the addition that is proposed, so that we know what that would look like, so that we can make a decision next time on all of that. So that would be one thing that would need to happen, is that we would see a landscape plan given the addition in the back. I guess we can then propose that this is inconsistent with the guidelines at this point in time, and that we ask them to come back next time.
Do you have an opinion on the location of a deck, or should there be a deck at all?
If they want to put the deck on the back, seems kind of crazy to me, but if they want to put it on the back, then I think they should come back to us with that plan. If they want to eliminate a deck altogether, fine. I don't think where the deck is now is acceptable from my perspective. And the same with the 24-foot addition in the front. Those are the two things that I would not want to live with. I would certainly live with the addition on the back.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
How about you, Jordan? Was what Carol said sound plausible to you?
I would agree. We need we would like to ask for a landscape plan that includes the addition, what that proposal looks like, options on the rooftop deck to minimize the view by the public and how it changes the impression of the structure. And then I think we need maybe, I agree with you. I think that we need a formal, more of a formal review of the 24-foot enclosure in the front as part of Meg's, a formal version of that as part of her report. So those are the three things I would say.
Okay. And do you have anything you'd like to add, Kathy?
No, I'm good.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, good. All right. Who would like to make a motion then?
I have them kind of written down, so I'll make a motion that we, hang on, let me get the right verbiage here. That we agree with the staff's finding of non-compliance with the secretary standards of the design study for DS 21285 Saparov, and that we would ask for we would offer the applicant the option to come back with a proposed landscape plan that considers the addition. If they want to do any other options on the rooftop deck, most notably how the structure is viewed by the public and where that deck's located, and then the 24-foot addition, we'd ask for Meg Clovis to complete her assessment and provide that to us formally before we move forward with any further consideration.
And are you including the requirement for a landscape plan?
Yeah, that was a point number 2 that we
Okay.
we asked for a landscape plan that incorporated the addition.
So just to be clear, so the staff knows, are you asking this to be continued with those requests? We are seeing that as we see it today, it's not compliant, but you're not voting on the resolution. You're just saying the board does not see this as compliant.
Madam Chair, could I interject? I'm sorry to keep doing that, but just from a technical perspective, the rules of procedure talk about the reasons that the HRB can continue an item. It does sound like you have those reasons. One of the reasons is that you don't have enough information. So I think that really should be the motion. I think if the motion includes language about agreeing with staff's determination of inconsistency, you're effectively making that determination today. So I would suggest the board member Croman's motion maybe be more about not having sufficient information and requesting the applicant to come back with that information. And then the HRB can make a determination at that point.
You make a good point. Thank you, Brendan. So is that fine with you, Jordan?
Absolutely.
So would you restate that you're asking need more information?
Okay, so I suggest a continuance based on the desire to gain additional information. We would like to see a landscape plan that incorporates the proposed addition. We'd like to see options on a rooftop deck, perhaps in a different location which reduces the view by the public and retains the impression of the original structure. And we would like to see Meg Clovis's formal report on the 24-foot addition onto the garage.
Is there a second to the motion?
I'll second that.
All right. Will the secretary call the roll, please?
Yes, I will. Board Member Croman,
Yes.
Board Member Hall,
Yes.
Board Member Pomeroy,
Yes.
and Chair Galtieri.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. So the motion passes, and we'll look forward to seeing this application at a future meeting. And thank you very much for what you presented to us, Daryl, and also we look forward to seeing you again. All right, so then going back to our agenda, which is pretty slim, I see. We have a director's report, so we're looking forward to that.
Thank you, Madam Chair. It's also a slim director's report today, but I do have a couple items just to let the board know. So we are pleased to announce, I believe it has happened since the last time we met. We are now fully open here at City Hall. We're open 8 a.m. to 4 p.m., 5 days a week. We're excited to invite anyone in and come see us. So we would encourage all of our board members as well to come by if you need anything. At this point, we are expecting public hearings to begin again in September. I think the question we asked at the beginning of the meeting, but I just wanted to confirm that. That is tentative at this point. That's direction from the City Council. There will still possibly be a hybrid option, or most likely there will still be a hybrid option. That's what we're looking at right now. But as I said, we're excited that the City Hall is open right now for anyone who wants to join us. The other little bit of news, we have completed the recruitment, closed it for replacing our friend planner that we lost recently. And so we're going to be doing interviews hopefully here in the next couple of weeks to fill the assistant planner position vacated by Catherine Tyrone. And so we're excited about that. I'm hopeful, fingers crossed, that by the time we meet again in a month, I might actually even have a new employee in-house. If not, we'll be very close to selecting someone after interviews. So we are pretty far down the road now. We've got a really good stable of applicants. We had 71 people apply for that position,
Wow.
which is fantastic. And we've narrowed it down to still a large number, but several very, very qualified people. So we're excited about that and look forward to next month and hopefully being able to introduce you to our new planner.
Who says that people aren't looking to work?
That's
They
right.
are. That's
And
great.
that's all I have, Madam Chair. Thank you.
Okay, I have a question I wanted to ask. What happened with the 10-day public notice on the community room? Did the applicant appeal our decision on the bank community room?
Thank you. Good question. Yes, they did indeed. It will be on the agenda for the August City Council meeting.
Okay, thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Do we have any announcements from the board? Pretty quiet. Okay, I don't think we have any subcommittee reports. And future agenda items, Carol, there's your July. Your July meeting is being announced. There we go. Does anyone else have anything to add? All right, well, thank you all very much. This meeting is adjourned.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thank you.
Great job, Catherine.
Great job, Madam Chair. Very well done.
Thank you.
Bye, guys. Thanks,
Bye,
Brent.
everybody.
Bye, Jordan.
Thanks,
Bye-bye.
Brent. Thanks for keeping us in
Bye,
check.
Carol. You're welcome.
You bet. Bye.